What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. Come on. Oh, man. Let's get it. Oh, man. What's up, everybody? I am welcome you here. It's good to be back. Sounds kind of low in my ear, but we gonna fix that. So today is episode 339. We getting close to 400. I've been in here ripping and rolling, rocking and ripping. I got a good show for y'all today. We talking about aliens. Yes, aliens. But before I get into that, I want to give out a few shout outs to everybody that been rocking with me since the beginning, still rocking with me now to this day, whether you're in Patreon over there at the LR Pod Network on Patreon, whether you're on my YouTube, whether you're on my Instagram, whether you're on my TikTok, I appreciate you. All right. This is Grind, Grow, Glow, baby. The Lenny Reed Pod. Don't play with me. Okay. We got a nice show coming up for you today. Before I get into that, this podcast is sponsored by Why You Need a Podcast ebook. Okay. You know, a podcast changed my life, getting a house built. There's a whole bunch of things going on with me and my life in a podcast. So I started it in 2019 and I've been rocking ever since. It's a good thing to travel the world, potentially leave your 9 to 5, depending on how you put in. Inside of that, ebook, there's a 50-minute video guide that breaks down how to put a podcast together in your own living room, whether it's in your room, in the kitchen, whatever, because you can break it up, break it down. Whether how many you do a week or a day, you can break it down. And all the links is in the show notes. So check it out. Also, check out quick links. It's also in the show notes. Those links are very important to this show because it helps us rock. It helps us roll. It keeps everything going. All right. So today's show, it's like, man, it's this one. This one is I told you so. Because the thing about this one is it was something that I noticed when I did the first one. Now, if y'all remember, it was a pod I did that was called Oumuamua. Okay. And I'm going to basically break everything down to y'all. But Oumuamua was the first interstellar object from outside of our solar system. Okay. It came in fast. It slowed down. It did all that crazy shit that we're not used to. It's only been 3 out of this, out of our solar system, objects that shot in out of our solar system. So that's very important. As far as we've been recording, that's only been 3. So what I want to do, I want to break down a few things on Oumuamua. And I'm going to get into a video. Actually, let me play this video first. And in the title, you see they're back. Now, I'm going to break down what I mean, they're back. And if you go back and just listen to the video, it was really getting in tuned on how I thought in my head this would play out. And hope to God it's not playing out like I thought it was in my head, because it'd be very, very terrifying. So let's get into the stage.
Object we've ever detected. But by the time we realized it was actually in the neighborhood, it was already on its way out. With limited data, we aren't actually sure what it actually is or where it came from. But simply being interstellar is not what sets Oumuamua apart. That honor goes to what we saw Oumuamua do. An event so strange, so in defiance of the laws of physics, that some scientists have turned to the explanation of alien technology as the only means to explain it. What is Oumuamua? What did it do? And are there more objects out there like it?
Pause that. Now, this was recorded around the time of Oumuamua. Okay, let's go back to the, I want to see the, let me See if I can bang bang. Okay, let's go. Let's stay right there. Let's see. Spaceship. Yes. Let's stay right there. Let's stay right there. Right 1 second. Okay. Oumuamua. Okay. I think it was late 2017. Oumuamua into our solar system above the planets. So it came down. It didn't come across, it came down. And the speed was 57,000 miles per hour relative to the sun. Okay. September of 2017 was its closest point to the sun, and it sort of like did like a dip. It used the sun to gain momentum. Now, people were saying it was rolling. Actually, let me get a good look at them a little more here. Let's get a good look. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's start right there. Right there. So, Oumuamua, what they thought was sort of like cylindrical, right? If that's the word. And as it came in, it was rotating, as they would say. Um, and the way it was reflecting light, it was showing, and it didn't have no tail, so they didn't think of it as any kind of comet. Because the closer a comet gets to the sun, the heat will evaporate some of the gases, and that would cause the comet tail, right? But the crazy thing about this is the direction it came in. It came up from the top. It used our sun as a point of propulsion. Okay. Now they said it slowed down on its entry, which is unheard of any comet. And then also being slightly pushed by the sun, it got a nice distance from the sun and it sped up. It like got the hell out of there. So what I said is, could it be possible when the Oumuamua came in 2017 that it scanned? Now, think about this. If you was an advanced civilization, more than likely you won't be skin and bones like we are. You would probably be some kind of I don't know, more like material opposed to like skin and bones, soft tissue, or mortal like we are. You probably would be immortal like you would think AI and robots and shit would be, right? So in my head, I had a Oumuamua coming in, right? I had a Oumuamua coming in and scanning every planet, or something brought a Oumuamua here for a closer look. Or if it wasn't, just say this: a Oumuamua was probably just bouncing around from solar system to solar system for millions of years. Because when you're dealing with a certain technology, they don't go on time like we do. So just say you got this, advanced civilization just put out, probes in different locations and just let them rip and run for millions of years, right? When it detects whatever it's looking for, it activates and it sends a beacon or some kind of signal that we probably don't even know about back to the mother station, back to the mother planet. And we don't know how far that is. If they close, they can probably cloak themselves that we can't see them. And then what I was saying is they found something. They found something and then they sent it off and they got the hell out of there. Because I think they was able to scan how powerful we was. We was already interplanetary. We sending stuff to Mars, sending stuff to different planets in our solar system. So they scanned, they got what they needed, and they dipped. And if you go back to that podcast, my words were that they probably somebody or a group of somethings coming here. Right after that, there was another, I think that was considered a comet that came in after that. But this new one, oh baby, oh baby. Oh. Now I'm hoping that you know, this don't really, this don't really happen. But it half of me is like, I hope this really happened. Who tired of working? Am I the only one tired of working? Come on, man. Come on. Anyway, so October 14th, 2017 was its closest to Earth. It passed within 15 million miles. That might sound fast or far, but it's not. And when it's compared to space terms. And then October the 22nd, it was discovered by astronauts using some kind of Pan-STARR telescope in Hawaii. So that's when it really was discovered. It was first detected. That it was basically gone, damn near leaving by the time we figured it out. Now this is the crazy part. It exited our solar system, went back into space at a trajectory of 95,000 miles an hour. And it was gone. So I think it came in with advanced technology, scanned everything it had to do, like scanned the whole planet. It's got the composition, got what's on it. It got the life, it got the minerals, it got the water of every planet here, and it continued on. And I think it did that to every solar system. And it's just a beacon that sends back information to the home base. And once the material or whatever this thing is looking for, whether it's life, some kind of minerals or material or water or something like that, it sends it out just like any probe would. And it keeps on going. And then what comes next is reconnaissance, or the physicals that come and probably extract what Oumuamua was looking for, which is completely terrifying. And basically comes and gets whatever it was looking for. So now the crazy part is that's in a couple months. It's in a couple months. So I'm gonna have this scientist break it down more than I can. So check it out.
Stellar object is and what makes it unique?
Well, so the last decade was special in astronomy because we discovered the first objects from outside the solar system near Earth. It started with the discovery of Oumuamua by a telescope in Hawaii, given the name Oumuamua because it means scout in the Hawaiian language. This was a survey telescope, Pan-STARRS, that was looking for near-Earth objects. And found this one, and it happened to be moving faster than the escape speed from the solar system. So that was the first one announced, about 100 meters in diameter, very unusual shape, most likely flat. The amount of sunlight reflected from it changed by a factor of 10 as it was tumbling every 8 hours. And there was no cometary evaporation from it. It was definitely not a comet of the type that we are familiar with. And nevertheless, it exhibited a non-gravitational acceleration away from the sun. And then came a very familiar object, a comet, discovered by an amateur astronomer, Gennady Borisov, in 2019, 2 years later. That one looked just like comets that we know about from the solar system, icy rocks that evaporate as they come close to the sun. And except that this one was moving very fast, therefore came from interstellar space, we expect icy rocks to be ejected from planetary.
Okay, so basically, the second one, you gotta understand something, guys. Gotta understand, this is crazy. This will be, these three objects are the only objects that we detected coming outside of our solar system since we've been recording. And the first one was Oumuamua. And then two more came. Now, if you are an advanced civilization, believe me, you know how to make stuff look like a comet. Definitely, easily. All of a sudden, Oumuamua comes, and then now you got two more objects. But this last one is different.
Systems because of passing stars. These are usually residents of the outskirts of planetary systems, the Oort cloud of the solar system, going out to 100,000 times the Earth-Sun separation, where it's very cold and objects are moving really slowly there, is an example of the outskirts of a planetary system. And when a star passes through it, it can easily kick gravitationally an object from there to become unbound, because these objects are very weakly bound to their parent star. And so we expect most of the interstellar objects to be comets, and indeed we found Borisov, the second announced interstellar object. And now on July 1st, 2025, half a meter telescope in Chile discovered a third one. Now, this one was at a distance of 4.5 Earth-Sun separation, and the fact that half a meter telescope discovered it means that it was extremely bright. In fact, this small telescope scooped the Rubin Observatory that was inaugurated the same month. The Rubin team looked back at the data and discovered images of this object before it was announced or discovered by the Atlas team. That's the survey telescope that found it. And actually, the Atlas telescope is very close to the Rubin Observatory in Chile. Both of them are neighbors. Now, as soon as I heard about 3I Atlas, this new object, within the same day, I was actually in the early morning hours, I was interviewed on Coast to Coast. I woke up at 2 a.m. and I learned about it from a listener to that program that emailed me and said, look, this was just discovered. And so I followed it, and within hours from the discovery, I realized this one is extremely unusual, because if it's a rock, if it's an asteroid, it has to be 20 kilometers in diameter in order to reflect enough sunlight to be so bright. And the problem with that is Oumuamua is roughly 100 meters in diameter, and there should be 1 million objects like Oumuamua for one that is 20 kilometers in diameter, based on what we know about the solar system. And we haven't discovered 1 million Oumuamuas before 3I Atlas, and so that was strange. And also, if you were to take a rock that is 20 kilometers in diameter and imagine that such a rock arrives in the inner solar system every 5 years, because the survey was looking at the sky for 5 years and found this one, then the supply of interstellar rocks into the solar system exceeds by a factor of almost 10,000 the amount of rocky material available in interstellar space, based on my calculations. So actually, on the 4th of July, instead of enjoying the vacation that I had with my wife, I wrote a scientific paper, submitted it for publication. It was accepted for publication within a few days, basically making the point that this object, if it is natural in origin, must be much smaller than 20 kilometers, probably less than 1 kilometer in diameter. So 20 times smaller, 8,000 times less massive. And then to explain the brightness, one would need to assume that it's surrounded by a cloud of dust that is much bigger and reflects much more sunlight than the object itself. And so if it's a comet, then everything holds together. And
if it's a comet, everything holds together. Now, like I said, it's part of me that wants it to be a comet, and it's part of me that wants it to be an alien spaceship. Just to be right, just to say, I told y'all so. But, you know, I don't know. I think that this would be perfect timing. Now, in hindsight, you might think they're looking in space and they can't find anything out there. So either we are on a lower level, that the higher ups, as far as the high level alien civilizations, could, stay under the radar with their technology and we can't see them, or we are the most advanced out there. And I doubt that. But I like how he said he went through all the steps and breaking it down for us. Is this a regular comet? Could this be a regular comet? And this, and that, and that, when it comes to just the nature or the natural science, right? But let's get into the scary point that he actually said. What if this is not a comet?
And it would be a small nucleus of that comet. You wouldn't need as much mass. It would be completely reasonable, not very different, maybe a little bit larger, maybe a factor of 2 or 3 larger than Borisov. But we don't know that for a fact, because when people tried to measure the spectrum of this object, they didn't find any evidence for the molecular fingerprints of molecules and atoms that represent the composition of comas, a cometary tail. Instead, all they noticed is reddening of the reflected sunlight, meaning that it could be a cloud of dust, but it could also be the surface of an object that is red, because we see a lot of objects that are red in the outer solar system. And so as of now, it's not 100% clear whether this object is a comet. When you look at the images, there is fuzz around the object, and it could be a comet. The image is a little bit bigger than that of background stars that are point-like. But as it comes closer to the sun, it would become clear whether it's a comet, because if it's a comet, it will evaporate much more vigorously as it gets heated by sunlight. And but nevertheless, I was a co-author on a paper with Adam Hibberd and Adam Crowell, where we said the orbit, the trajectory of this object appears to be quite remarkable. It arrives.
Okay, one thing before he get into the main squeeze, the beef and potatoes. I think we all should be looking at the sky or listening around September, end of September, as this object get close. We need to put our hands together, right? And pray that this shit got a tail on it, okay? That it's burning off gas and we can see it because it's that close to the sun. Let us pray that we see a tail and this damn thing is a comet. Because if it gets close to the sun and it's not trailing a tail, that's all I'm gonna say. I'm not saying no more. That's it.
Within 5 degrees of the orbital plane of the Earth around the sun. And the chance of that happening randomly is 0.2%. And moreover, it will arrive closest to the sun when the Earth is on the opposite side of the sun. And moreover, if you just play with the arrival time randomly, you would notice that only 1 out of 20,000 arrival times would come as close to the inner planets like Jupiter, Mars, or Venus. So that is an unusual coincidence. And why would such a trajectory be so unusual? Well, one possibility is if it was designed by some intelligent civilization, it also comes towards us from the direction of the galactic center, from the Milky Way center, where there are lots of stars, and it's very difficult to notice it. That's why we discovered it so late. By now, it's impossible for us to launch a rocket that will intercept with it.
I'm sorry to interrupt again, but if you notice what he said, they said, I watched a couple episodes of different, even Neil deGrasse Tyson said that if they are more advanced civilizations in our galaxy, the Milky Way, right, they will be coming from the center. Okay, the center has the oldest, stars. Okay, so that the oldest suns will bring older planets, which will bring older civilizations. And that's what this object came from, the center. So we was blinded by it. So by the time we noticed it, it was damn near too late. So you got to look at the little details that he's saying and then put the pieces together. But he's about to get crazier with it. He's about to get crazier with it. Check it out.
Because it would move relative to Earth. It comes in the opposite direction of the motion of Earth around the sun. And the relative velocity would be 98 kilometers per second when it comes closest to the sun. And that is 3 times the maximum speed that we can accomplish with chemical rockets. And so there is no way for us to reach it, to intercept with it. And perhaps it wants to break, like when we launch rockets and we want to accomplish a very high speed, we usually introduce a thrust near the sun, and that buys you the highest kick velocity, taking advantage of the gravitational assist by the sun. And so if this object wants to do a reverse maneuver, meaning to slow down and get bound to the sun so that if it's a spacecraft, so that they can visit us, that would be the point where we can't see it because it's hiding behind the sun. And it raises the interesting possibility that might be technological in origin. Of course, we will know much more in the coming month or two, and it may not be it may be just a comet, but I think it's important to consider the possibility that any interstellar object coming into the solar system might be technological. Because if you just consider the last century, we started transmitting radio signals, basically flagging that we exist as a technological civilization. And there is this dark forest hypothesis that is the answer to Fermi's paradox. Where is everybody? Well, they might be silent, waiting to notice things that might be a threat to them because they were bruised in interactions. So there might be a lot of aliens around. And if someone was listening to our technological signals, they might have realized that here there is a young technological civilization, and we don't want to have that threat. So they would send a hostile mission towards Earth. Of course, that may not be the case. We don't know. But it's the kind of threat that is not often entertained because, people talk about existential threats from artificial intelligence, from maybe change in the climate, or from an asteroid impact. But not much discussion is dedicated to the possibility that we might be endangered by alien tech.
So, to sum it up, let's break it down to sum it up. If one, we don't see a tail as it closes in on the sun. Okay, that's one. Two, if this thing slows down and want to hide behind the sun. Okay. And I think after that, after it, we notice that it's not, producing a tail, a gas tail, and then it just slows down, and then we like, where's it at? Where's it at? We can't detect it because it's on the other side of the sun. When it should have just shot past because it's going so fast. I think that's when the real panic comes in. I think that's when everybody looks deep inside themselves, and the matters that we go on in our little ecosystem, whether it's, politics, race, money, sexism, all of that stuff goes out the window. But it's just a coincidence to me that you would get an object like Oumuamua that comes in at a certain speed. I think it was 57,000 miles. I think that was 57,000 miles an hour. The other asteroid with a comet, which was basically a comet, came in next. You understand? They all came in a tight year formation. 2017, I think the other one came 2019 or 2020 or 2018. And this one comes in 2025. This one will be coming in at 130,000 miles an hour. So it's coming in hot. It's coming in hot. It's coming in like we found what we needed. We found what we've been looking for thousands of years, and we got to get there. Oumuamua just came in, tumbling like, just going through, and just came past the sun. All the electricity and shit just stopped. And then it just sending stuff back to these swarm of Earth or planet hunting aliens. Then Oumuamua did his thing, got the fuck up out of here. And then came a comet to do more reconnaissance missions, do another run by, just to be sure. And then them niggas came from the direction of the middle of the galaxy, like Thanos. So it's going to be an interesting next couple of months. Just hiding behind the sun is wild to me. That is just like top of the notch. Wow. And like I said, a part of me want this to be full on alien shit, and another part of me just want to keep on living life. Because if just say if it is an advanced civilization, they not coming with no friendly, let me speak to your leader kind of time. No. It's going to be bow down kind of time, or liquefy kind of time. Or they just come with this big pump and just pumping all the water off the planet. You know what I mean? Just pick an alien invasion movie. Pick one. Just all you had to do is pick one. Or it'd be some shit we never even thought of. But I guess it's just something to do. You know, I always want to do a stupid podcast like this, but it's fun. Crazy thing is, November is my birthday month, and it's also my podcast anniversary month. So that will be a time to be alive. And if it's a crazy month, like a lot of people think it's going to be, it's going to be world of worlds out this piece. But we'll see. Hopefully, this is just a pod, and I'm having fun with it, and all the other, even him, Abi Loeb, I think that's his name, scientist. He having fun with it. And I hope that's just what it is. We having fun. But one thing I ask y'all to do, pay attention. Pay close attention. And make sure that hopefully we see a tail that makes this thing a comet. Then you can, and then it shoots past the sun and gets the fuck out of here. But also that can also be a probe. So it can be three. It can be one of three things. It can just be a comet. It can be the third probe. Or it can be the invasion. All right. I hope it's number one. All right, everybody. Thank you all for listening. Peace. Bam.